we were on a roll. And not a buttery
I'm
one.
continuing now. Buttering one, I'm continuing it. This is continuation.
Oh.
Part 2.
Just FYI, what I was making reference to, I was sitting there, I was like, you just messed up the computer too, didn't you? He's like, yeah, I did. I was like, man, we are on a roll and not a buttery one.
There's going to be a part, like, I got to upload 2 parts. One's going to be like 14 minutes long, the other one's going to be like, I don't know.
It could be all night.
But this is not the first time. You know, I see when I was trying to do this Switch release.
Huh?
There was when I was doing the podcast for the Switch, when I was at GameStop doing the podcast.
Yeah.
There's like 6 parts. One's a minute long. The second one's like 5 minutes. The third one is like 15. Because I could not get the freaking button right. I was like, I want to know if it's depleting my energy at all. So, but anyway, this is part 2. Continuation.
Part 2. All right.
Same day.
Yeah, same day. With literally just moments ago, he messed up the computer.
Stupidity.
But no, he was sitting there talking about going into, I guess, Ghost now a little bit.
I mean,
which
I never really saw anything with you. I mean, this is the 3rd one, I guess. I'm going to name this Paranormal something. This is the 3rd podcast I've done about paranormal. I guess it's just in my blood.
I guess. No, this has been what, 6 years since we've actually hung out like this,
yes.
Just bullshitting.
Yeah, this is just random time. I want to do a podcast with this guy because I haven't seen him for so long.
I know. Back around in high school,
it was a decade ago.
Yeah, I cannot believe 30. It's been a decade. Anyways,
I'm 30.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway,
I'll be 30 in November.
I'll be 30 in August.
Anyways, I used to work at a nursing home, and I actually got Derek hired on over there. Do not touch that button.
I was hoping we were recording the mic.
Please tell me we are.
We were. That's not
all right.
It's a dead air.
Anyways, no, we worked over at a nursing home, and it had a lot of paranormal activity. But he never got to experience it. But he also never stayed overnight, stripping the wax out of the floors.
You did that?
Yes, that was trippy. We had this ghost. We named her Emily.
Your family was deep into that freaking place.
Oh yeah.
I mentioned this to this day at Walgreens in Newburgh. About that, I used to work at Columbia, and people know what Columbia is, and not in a good way.
Yeah, it's yeah.
How many times did they shut you down?
They never shut us down while we worked there.
We had a crap ton of cards.
Tray cards. Ooh,
we were like, nope. Just gave me twice, I think.
Oh, great.
But anyway, besides that nastiness.
But no, we had this. It was a little girl. Her name was Emily. We never really could figure out why she was there because the building itself, it used to be from what I understand, there used to be an elementary school that was over by there before the building was there.
Uh-huh.
And she was just this little girl and everything. And there was this man that worked there. His name was Glenn, and she apparently had this really big crush on her and on him and everything. And she one night we were sitting there working, and she decided to make her presence known. And mind you, this is, we were in the actual kitchen part, not in the dish room part. And then just out of nowhere, we had random pots just being thrown across the room in the dish room. And, no clue why. We were just sitting there, we were talking, and I don't know, we just started hearing the clattering and everything. Mm-hmm. And went in there, and I looked in there just at the right moment to see a pan just fly across the room. I'm like, okay, well, this has been a fun night.
I never saw her, and I never really felt her. So,
and we had this cook over there. This was during one of our shifts that he actually was coming in later in that day. His name was Darren. You remember Darren Rockmore? Big guy.
Oh, yeah.
Used to hang around with Aubrey.
I've seen him recently, actually.
Yeah, and he's this Southern boy. He never believed in the paranormal. He always dismissed it. He's like, oh, that's nothing. And he's like, I don't believe there's this little girl named Emily over here. And, in just complete disbelief. And he walks away one moment, and Next thing you know, right where he was standing, they had a butcher knife and a cutting board that was thrown right where he was standing originally. And we heard the crash and saw that the knife was sitting there, on the floor and everything, right where he would have been. And my mom was like, "You better apologize to Emily for that one." And after that, he believed it afterwards, because that was just too much of a coincidence.
Yeah.
For him to sit there and say, "I don't believe in Emily," and then having that happen.
I haven't had anything like that. Well, I've had, but nothing that they haven't heard. I've had have you heard of I think it's the Boonville Light?
Boonville Light?
Yeah.
I vaguely, and you gotta remember, I've worked second shift for the past 6 years.
Well, this is, I understand. But this has been around since, I think, 2 years after we got to high school that I found out about it. I saw it, I want to say, probably 4 years out of high school, I saw it. And I've told the story on the podcast already, which I saw then. I've seen the orb in my house.
I've heard of the Newburgh booms.
Uh,
I haven't heard that one yet. I'd love to be able to hear somebody's got a file of it.
I've heard the boom. I heard the Evansville boom. It was when year after high school, I was over at Yates, where Yates used to live, right in front of Central. And we were walking along, and we had nothing to do, so we were just out of high school. We had nothing to do, walking around North Park, Evansville, and we got to where pizza. If you remember where Domino's or that pizza joint next to Central.
Domino's over by Central.
We found a knife in a stop sign post. Like, a knife was jammed into this. Where it was
Sweet.
like where it connects.
Yeah.
And it makes it longer. It was jammed in there, and we were like, "I'm not touching that." And Yates was like, "Yates, don't touch that. It could be a murder weapon." I was like, "Possibly not, but with our luck." But once we said that, we were walking away, and we heard what we always considered Godzilla. We heard that, and it was in the background. It was over by wolves. Like, it was past wolves, and we just heard. I'm like, well, Godzilla's over there. But I didn't think of it a paranormal thing. I always thought of somebody taking like a crane and scraping the concrete with it.
Oh, my take is, obviously you know that Evansville, Henderson, all that, we're all near an earthquake fault of the New Madrid fault line.
Yeah.
And obviously we're well overdue for a nice earthquake. I think the last one.
SOL.
Yeah, last one we had, I think it was a 4 that was, in 2009.
Was it?
That was the last really solid one that we've had.
The only one I remember.
And in all honesty, I think a lot of these booms is just the setup for that particular earthquake to happen. So if you may think that I am pretty accurate on that, then get your stuff ready.
You don't think it's the end times?
I don't think it's end times, because I haven't heard trumpets.
They don't even sound like trumpets when you hear them. If you Google
They're like, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna stay in for the next year.
I don't want a part of this.
Do you got my vodka?
Okay, maybe that's where I got it from, because apparently nobody understands why I like vodka.
You got it from me, man.
I drank a 5th of vodka a month ago, and I was fine.
I'd love to try me some Russian vodka, man. That shit will fuck you up.
I was over at a friend's house, and we were talking, and we were just getting hammered and just having fun. And apparently everybody else got hammered, and I laid down for 40 minutes. I was like, "I'm good. Let's go." Like, I was dizzy, but I wasn't like. Bleh. I was just like, I can drive. I got a lot of my father.
Please don't ever drive and drive drunk.
I've done it once.
Don't do it, Dan.
I was.
I actually on Sunday almost got hit by a drunk driver.
Wow.
And to be honest with you, I have no clue how this guy even made it from Hopkins County, Kentucky. Mm-hmm. But he was riding the center line over on Veterans Memorial Parkway, almost sideswiped my driver's side and I was taking Evan.
That's what you wrote. Okay.
Yeah, I was. That was the post I was talking about.
Okay.
But no, this guy, he literally rode the center line, almost hit me when I had Evan, because we were going to go Pokemon hunting before I took him back to his mom, and ended up. I went and followed him and I called the cops, reported and everything, and obviously EPD didn't want to do anything about it because the guy went into an apartment. He parked himself over there off of Locust, over in an apartment building over there.
I'm lost.
And
are we in Evansville?
Yeah, we're in Evansville.
Okay.
We're in like downtown Evansville, in between 1st and 2nd Street.
I live close to downtown. I don't go down there very often.
Anyways, because he went into an apartment complex, obviously they didn't do anything.
No.
But this guy, he gets out, and the second he gets out, he's already falling backwards. I'm like, how the hell did you manage to make it from Hopkins County to Evansville? Because it's just, it blew me, because I'm like, you are way beyond. Because he even almost drove into a ditch. Like, he hit the curb. He was getting ready to fly into a ditch over there off of Veterans. I'm sitting there like, I'm waiting back. I'm like, yeah, this is going to happen.
Was his girlfriend cheating on him?
I don't know.
He had to get to Beeline.
He met up with somebody there. That's for damn sure. Because she came out with him. She's like, oh, how you doing, baby? He's like, I'm fine.
Don't take
I'm fine, man.
Was he high?
No, he was drunk off
his ass. You just did a high voice. I'm good, man.
I'm good. Yeah, I never get drunk, man. I live a dull life, so.
I do too.
I live a life where I come home after 8 hours of work and just kick back, relax as much as I can.
Yeah.
But
I work 10 hours. I know what you feel.
Yeah. Let's get back to the subject what we came over for. Yeah, it's just random at this point.
Random at a time. But what else?
But no, one other thing that I brought up to him was I have been listening to one of the radio stations, 95.7 over. It's a USI alternative rock radio station, and one of the songs that they've played several times was a song called "Phantom Limbs" by the band The Shins. And I decided to Shazam it one day, and I looked at the music video.
Shazam it.
Yes, I Shazammed it. I use that as a verb.
I have no clue what it is. I just think of
it's an app where you sit there and you like click it, and then it listens to the sound that you are listening to on there, whether it's TV or music, and then it tells you exactly what it is and who sings it.
So it's Siri.
It's essentially Siri, but it's Siri on crack.
Okay. Go on.
Siri just responds to what you say and then pulls it up offline. This tells you exactly what it is.
You have a Google phone?
No, I have an iPhone.
Oh, so you don't. Apparently, there's Harry Potter references in Android.
Really?
Yeah, you can. There is a. You can say something. It's the light spell in Harry Potter.
Lumos.
You say it into the phone and it turns on the camera.
Lumos. Nox.
I don't know how to turn her on. That's what I say about a lot of girls I meet. Sorry. I want to go hiding now. That sounded really bad.
Oh, hide in the corner, huddle. Grab your knees.
I've only had 2 girlfriends.
Hey, we're matched.
You got hitched.
You were matched. I just married the second. But no, anyways, what was odd about it was inside the music video, we had kids that were doing dramatization of 3 different events that took place in history that involved death. The first one that they really showed it was the meeting of the Spaniards in the Aztec Empire, and the fall of the Aztec Empire after they had 2 soldiers that 2 of their soldiers that shook hands with one of the Spaniards, and then they just drop. It was kind of goofy looking because it's kids that were playing it, and they even had a fake goat that was beheaded, and it showed like red sparklers coming off of it. It's you remember the music video now, don't you? When I made mention of that, like they chopped the head off as like a sacrificial lamb, and you see like the red streamer.
I do, but I'm also getting a hint of like Rob Zombie might for some reason.
It was weird.
I can see Rob Zombie.
If you ever Google it, it's an odd music video. But that was the first one. The second one was Joan of Arc's burning at the stake, and the third one, which technically the third one was the second one. It was something I could never pinpoint on. I was like, what is this? Because it's explorers, like European type of explorers that they were marching, and then, near the very end, he shows like this little angel or whatever, and this random woman that's sitting there like gnawing on a leg. And I'm like, what is that? So when I finally decided to wiki the band and then wiki that particular song, it comes out where they were talking about the Donner Party of 1846.
There's a movie about it too.
Never heard of it.
There's a movie. When I was Googling it when you were talking about it, I was like, there's a movie? What?
I apparently lived under a rock for the last, 30 years of my life, because I have never in my life heard of that. And hearing the Donner Party of Six, reference in the jokes, that makes more sense now. But, it was just one of the most bizarre cases of,
I don't know.
Of anything, of cannibalism. And just forewarn, if you decide to Google this and look it up on Wikipedia, there will be a link that says gangrenous. Do not click on that unless you really want to be disturbed.
You actually meant that.
I saw it and it was disgusting.
I thought you meant dangerous.
No, gangrenous.
I thought you had a typo. And
no,
I was like, what do you mean dangerous?
I was trying to instant poke on my iPhone. I was having a little bit of a moment of where I couldn't remember how to spell gangrenous, and I spelled out what it sounded like, and I found the longest word. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna click on that. Maybe that's it.
This sounds like it's part of it. It sounds like it.
But for the love of God, do not click on that unless you really want nightmares, because it is just disturbing.
I don't know a whole lot about it. I just didn't really. I watched a few about it, and then you said it's gangrenous, and I thought you meant dangerous. So
no,
I stopped reading about it.
No, what happened was
cannibalism.
Yeah,
I know
and
about
it
cannibalism.
was basically the party was of 87 people, and what they were doing is they left for their homes, and I think it was New Jersey.
Yeah,
and they decided they were going to try to strike it rich over in California, kind of like how the other gold miners were. And I said that I brought this up. It's like, who in their right mind would risk cholera and being killed by angry Native Americans for a couple of ounces of gold? In my personal opinion, that doesn't outweigh it. Outweigh the danger. But I wouldn't want to risk cholera to be able to get a couple ounces of gold and maybe a mansion if I can make it back to the East Coast.
Yeah. Well, back then it was worth a lot, but I understand what you're getting at. But it was worth a lot back then.
I'd rather just take my chances on the East Coast.
Yeah.
But no, they ended up when they get to a certain point, they were talking to this man, and he gave them a letter for delivery, like a pack, like a parcel for delivery, heading over that way, and they didn't think anything of it.
Yeah.
The guy gave them a shortcut, and it was the worst possible advice they could have ever taken, because it ended up landing them inside of Sierra Nevada during one of the worst blizzards that Nevada had ever seen, in between November 1946 to about April 47. And they were just stranded, and eventually some of them trekked on away from the Donner family.
Yeah.
Because they were just in a camp, and some of them trekked a little bit farther in, and there was about 3 more parties that set up like lodges and made cabins and stuff. And the cabins themselves were just like horrific, living quarters, because they would sit there, they have like 14, 16 people in something that was smaller than, that was just one room. Smaller than that house over there. It's just horrible, but it was only one room.
Yeah.
And they went back and they went to go check on him, and they kind of split the party, the Donner family, up a little bit because it was 8 people. It was 3 daughters, a son. Oh, it's actually 7. It's 3 daughters, a son, and the mom and dad. Gregory Donner, and then I can't think of what the mother's name was.
Gregory.
Yeah, of course it's Gregory. But when they visited the first time, they took 2 of the daughters back with them to try to help, try to get them into somewhat of more of a habitable thing. The second time they came to visit, they had taken the third daughter.
Yeah.
And the son was already dead at this point. And the father, Gregory, he had managed to injure himself in the process of trying to fix one of their wagon wheels. And wagon wheel, and ended up getting getting gangrene in his arm, and it became infected. He was sick, he was bedridden. So they left him and his wife there, and took the third daughter with them. And by the time they came back, they were both dead. And
you put it this way, why would you go that far for gold?
Exactly.
I mean, if you put it this way, there's no point in going for gold.
But it became just horrific. Out of a party of 87, there was only like 42 that made it to California. Yeah. They had people that were eating, the falling, like as they were going down, like as they were dropping. They ran out of oxen, so they were chewing on ox hide and chewing on the hoofs of the cattle and the ox.
Just think of like the repercussions after that, though. I mean, you make it, but then are you mentally right in the head?
No, at that point, you're probably not, because you've devoured, your own family. You've devoured your, the people you were working. That's either squirrels or birds. By the way, if you hear random noises and stuff, we are out on my balcony, and it's facing towards a house, and we've got gutters over here that's got squirrels inside of it and stuff. We might randomly find a squirrel that will run across the balcony.
Stop!
But, that's the kind of stuff that, we might hear. You might even hear some dogs, because there's a couple of dogs over a couple houses down. But no, it was just, horrific.
Yeah. Oh, it's tough for that. I mean, if you think you can make it, especially for 80 people?
Yeah, 87 people.
If you think 87 people can make it back and go back and forth for gold, you would do it. But apparently, they thought wrong.
And then they picked the wrong path. They would have stayed on the regular trail that had been established and been known. Because what they did is they took a fork, and that fork led them way off of the trail, and it was just wrong place, wrong time at that point. And that's why you should never stray too far from the trail, peeps.
Never take your oxen in 2617.
Never take your wagon drawn carriages off of the main path and take the road less travel in 2017, because chances are you're not making it back.
You're not making it either way in 2017.
If it's not cholera, then it's going to be the evil.
Shoot you.
Yeah, it's going to be the evil that's in this world that's going to end up taking you out.
So have you heard of, if I can say it right, the Dotov Pass?
Let me see.
I believe it's Russian or Russian. I was going to say
Doltov Pass. Dyatlov Pass.
Doltov Pass.
And Nathan Burns is nearby on your phone.
No,
I have never in my life heard of this.
Oh, okay.
Never heard of it.
There was essentially 10 people. 10 people that went to the. I think it's called. It's now called Dead Man's Pass, where they were trekking. And there was, I can't remember why they were trekking. hiking this mountain in sub-zero temperatures. But there was determined six victims died from hypothermia. The others showed signs of physical trauma. One victim had a fractured skull, while the other one had a brain damage, but no sign of distress. Their skull, additional with a female member, had her tongue missing, and it was investigation concluded that an unknown compelling force had caused of their death.
Sounds like a wild party.
And I believe it was originally 10 people. They made it to a checkpoint in Russian.
So that was in Russia? That wasn't in like Ukrainian or anything like that?
I want to say it was Russia.
Let me see.
Yeah.
So you still got it pulled up? No, you don't. Of course
There's
not.
not a home button on that damn thing, boy.
LGs. Ugh. There we go. All right. You said it's... Oh, shit. Yeah.
It's touchscreen, all the same. But
it was written in Russian. And it is Russia, yeah. So,
Russian.
yeah.
It's Russian. I mean, a lot of people know about it, and there's a few people that know about it. Don't know about it. Stacy, one of them.
Apparently.
No, there was 10, one left. They got to a checkpoint. One of the people left. One of the 10 people left because he felt sick, so he left. So what I just read was, there was
Lucky
one
son of a bitch.
Yes. There was a female that had her tongue ripped out, compelling force, and it was the only thing they could think about. It had to be a immense force. A human couldn't bat. There was enough power, like in the skull, the fractured skull, that it was not humanly possible that a human caught them out and crushed the skull.
Moral of the story that I've heard: don't fuck with anything in Russia.
Well, they said it's like they thought it was like someone said it was like Bigfoot. They believed it. There was the Yeti out there.
It could have been the Yeti. There's many possibilities that.
Well, their bodies had a huge amount of radiation on them, and there was no radiation out there.
Sounds like they encountered something from Chernobyl.
Yeah,
very well. How close is that location from
But it was.
Pripyat?
But it didn't happen at the same time.
No, I mean it doesn't matter. If you go into Chernobyl,
Chernobyl happened after.
I know. I'm saying.
I thought you. Yeah.
Oh, Chernobyl happened after. This was all before.
Yes.
Oh, damn. I don't know. Then
there was.
You got me on that one.
There's hence the camera. The last bit of like photos that the camera took had like two strange lights in it. People were saying UFOs. People were saying they saw red lights in the sky that night when they died. So they don't know which really transpired with these people.
Burning at the stake.
They were they already burned. Everybody got conked. One got conked out. One had a liter of blood in her stomach.
Oh. That is not a good one.
Which is funny because I watched something about it not too long ago that they said they kind of figured out what it was.
Sounds more of an occult.
There was a guy, maybe. There was one of the captain of the. Huh?
I mean, the little tombstone itself looked more occult-like than anything.
That's Russian, though.
Doesn't matter. Occults are anywhere.
But the leader had this makeshift stove that would heat. It would go. The chimney was going outside the tent, and it would spit out the heat. But it also kind of went in. It was makeshift, so they believe the stove backfired, and that's why you saw some of them bare feet. They didn't have any shoes on, no clothing. So they basically probably. What would they be looking for? Like backdraft of like charcoal going into the tent. So they were going to suffocate, so they just duked it outside, and they weren't thinking, fire. So that's a mystery by all means. That's a big mystery in Russian.
Yeah, that is.
They don't know what happened. There's a movie based about that too.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll have to look that one up.
There's a lot. I mean, if they were talking about movies that scared the crap out of me, was it The Fifth Kind?
Fifth Kind?
The Fifth Kind? The Fourth Kind? Fifth.
I know there's Close Encounters of the Fourth Kind. I don't know.
I had it on Xbox 360. I bought it. Griffey fell asleep. I was watching like crazy.
What? Close Encounters or the movie you're talking about?
The Fourth Kind movie. I just keep on repeating Fourth Kind.
Fourth Wave or Fifth Wave?
The Fourth Kind.
The Fourth Kind?
Yeah. It's supposedly based on a true story, which it's not.
Of course it's not.
Oh, it was like Alaska, I believe, where it took place. This movie. Supposedly, this woman saw the psychologist that performs the hypnosis when you're asleep. And
Yeah.
you always hear people that got abducted,
Yeah.
taken by aliens. They go under hypnosis and recall a lot of things.
They found one that was a sleeper cell.
And apparently this woman did it, went too far on it, and then apparently the aliens knew that she was doing this, and going after her. They stole her daughter. Didn't find the daughter. She said it's the aliens. Went psycho, saying it was the aliens. I'm giving like the abridged version of this movie, but it was like
well, at least I don't have to watch it now.
The point of it was like she performed hypnosis on herself, and she found out what happened. So you find out the little girl was abducted by aliens, and the mother actually saw her get abducted.
That's trippy.
It was and she like warped out the window. That scared that.
So they kind of did a little bit of a Men in Black with the, mind. What was it called?
Well, it's like with that. Oh, the pen.
Yeah, the little pin.
They're making a fourth one.
They've already made a third one, dude.
They're making a fourth one.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
I don't know if it has Willie in it.
Will might be in it.
I mean, he should have been in He should have been in.
He was in the third one.
He wasn't in. He should have been in Independence Day 2.
Yeah, they kind of killed him off. That sucked.
Have you seen Independence 2?
No.
No, don't watch it then.
I'm not worried about it.
It has the less popular Hemsworth in it.
Oh, it's got the
Brother.
Liam.
He has Liam.
Oh.
There were two they couldn't get.
Couldn't get Chris.
They couldn't get Thor.
They couldn't get Thor, and Thor being the Norse god of lightning as himself.
I do not believe in aliens.
I do not believe in aliens, but look at this mighty hammer that I have.
You have anything else? I mean,
do I have anything else, dude? I could talk all day about this kind of stuff. No, one thing. Minutes, so. One thing that
I don't care how long.
One thing when I was a kid, I was always played with, and it wasn't until I heard. It's kind of like a regressed memory or something. It happened when I was a little kid, and where I was over at my grandmother's house.
Oh yeah.
And you remember how she used to have that big sliding door in the back of the house, right?
Yeah, that house was completely uneven.
Yeah, it was. It still is a little, but they're trying to even it out.
They still live in it?
They still live in it.
Oh.
Grandma is actually going to be 71, I think.
Well,
Grandpa's
she's younger
75.
than I thought she was.
Yeah. But no, when I was a kid, I had this dream that I was in my grandmother's kitchen. I was just a little kid, and I'm sitting there peering out of the glass, and it looks like there's snow and everything. But what I'm looking at is a bunch of, like, G-men almost. They're, covered in hazmat suits and stuff. And I can't figure out why they're out there. They're doing all what they're doing out there. And I had this regressed memory for years. And it wasn't until I listened to a song from Blue October called Hate Me, where at the end of the song, if you listen to the actual radio version, like the album version, it kind of bleeds out to where the recording that they're using, that it's on loop or whatever, it's deteriorating.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I heard that regressed memory came back, and I can't figure out what it is. I can't, I've thought so much, and I've said before, I turned 30 in November. I was born in 87, and I've always thought that it could have been like a regressed memory from like a past life that came to me in a dream at once.
Well, okay, if you believe in our past life thing, especially hazmat suits and all that stuff. If you're thinking about hazmat suits, you would think of something major. I mean, if you were thinking, okay,
I mean, because if you think about it,
what could I mean,
in '86, you know, you had the Chernobyl disaster,
but okay, if you
and
had, okay,
if you were at a young life, you know, you didn't really get to live long of a life to regret to sit there and learn so much.
so you're, are you,
So what if like like the karmic, you know, where you sit there and you go into a new being after you've died.
reincarnation?
Yeah, reincarnation. A lot of what some of the belief that I've heard about is that for as long of a life you had and everything, as you are being regressed into a new being, it takes a little bit longer per long of a life.
Yeah.
But if I was a young kid and I died at a young age and all that stuff, it wouldn't take nearly as long.
But you're thinking, okay, when you think of reincarnation, so you're thinking of, I don't know when the Chernobyl accident.
It happened in April of '86.
'86. So you're thinking this kid. If you believe in reincarnation, you're thinking this kid that you might be is a year old and died at a year old, or died.
I'm thinking like
he's part of it.
Well, I'm thinking that I had, like, if I was in that time frame, if I had died, I was probably like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Because I'm a young kid. I'm like a 3 or 4 year old, and I'm sitting here just looking out in the glass, and I'm seeing ash, and I'm seeing, you know, hazmat suits.
Well, you can also think, you ever thought of, I don't know, I mean, you could think of, the concentration camps. For some odd reason, I think concentration camps.
Concentration camps.
So, concentration camps. I'm thinking of that, because, who knows, I mean, didn't they have suits when they cremated, when Hitler
No,
put them
they
in the
just
oven? They just shoved them in there?
They just shoved them in there, and the people that the gas chambers, the people that were the Nazis that were in there in the gas chambers, they had
suits.
They didn't really have suits.
Well,
they had the mask and they were in their uniforms. I'm talking about, these are straight hazmat suits, something that you would see like Homer Simpson carrying that radioactive, you know, isotope in the early years of Simpsons.
Yeah. Isotope. There's the name of the baseball team. Anyway,
makes you think now.
But no, like I've had deja vu moments, and one that clearly reminds me of, I can't remember their janitor at the nursing home.
The janitor at the nursing home,
the one that eventually got fired before we even, like, he did something really horrible, like not horrible, but someone backfired on him. I want to say his name was Darren. Also.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. He had eczema on his arms and stuff. I know who you're talking about. I can't remember for the love of God what his name was, but yeah, I remember who you're talking about.
I remember, clearly, it was like, this was like a year or so before I worked at the nursing home. I remember sitting on a little balcony we have out in front, behind the nursing home. And everybody sat down when we were on lunch. We sat back, when it was nice outside, we would sit down. I remember sitting on a milk crate and just sitting there for some odd reason. I think it was off, and I was not doing anything. I was just sitting there, just passing the time. And he walked up around the side of the building, because we had a sidewalk that completely went around the entire building.
I remember.
And he walked up. He said, "Dude, what's going on?" And you could just walk through. There was no fence. You just walk through it. And I remember stopping him and said, "Dude, we've done this once before." He said, "No, we haven't." Oh. Because it's clear. I was like, whoa. But I've never had...
Oh, I've had so many deja vu moments. I actually had one just a couple of days ago while I was at work. Because around the first time I got on the first shift, there was one instance where it was just playing out almost identical to what I've had in a dream before. And I'm sitting like, I've been here fucking before. And in the dream, it didn't end up too well for me. Like something occurred that they got me in trouble with management. I ended up getting fired. So I remembered that. I'm saying like, well, this isn't. It's like if any chance I can, you know, do a reset, this is it right here. And what I had in my head, I decided not to fucking do. And obviously, I'm still employed because I just got off a shift. You know. So, I mean, it's odd occurrences that just it keeps playing out, and that could very well be just your way of accepting of different things. I don't know. Fuck.
I've had really weird dreams.
Yeah, very vivid dreams.
I had one that's I remember having it about like 3 years ago. Then I just recently had the same dream again, but it was the director's cut. So it was it was
the director's cut.
It was the director's cut. It was longer.
It was longer and it had a lot more fuck.
I think that's whoa, and it scared the hell out of me. So
it
had an alien in it.
Had an alien in it? It really had a fuck.
It did.
And it was something that wasn't pretty.
No. Oh no! It had an alien in it, and it was.
Did he touch you in a very unpleasant way?
He screeched.
He screeched?
Yeah.
Oh, Screech! Thank you for reminding me of this one. Oh, when I was a kid, you saw
Saved by the Bell.
Huh?
You watched Saved by the Bell?
No, not Saved by the Bell. This is completely different. That tea is cold as hell now, isn't it?
No, it's not.
Mine is. Mine's empty now. But no, you remember the old house I used to live in over off of 4th Avenue, right next to where my grandmother's?
Yeah.
All right.
I drive by it.
Yeah. Well, the way the setup was there was hardly any room. Like we had literally two living quarters that we had there.
You had 3 upstairs.
The upstairs was not livable.
I slept on the floor before. That was.
You're thinking of over off of.
Yes, I am.
East Illinois.
Yes, that was.
I'm talking about. This is off of 4th Avenue, literally right next door to my grandmother's. This was before we started hanging out.
I was at that old house. I was at both houses.
Maybe once or twice. I know you probably dropped me off there one time during sophomore year when you decided to turn around when we were trying to go to Kipley's.
We were.
And you totaled my car. Almost totaled your car.
We watched Ghost Hunters in that house.
Yeah, but anyways.
I've been in that house. Anyone going?
Anyways, this was when I was like 9 or 10. I had a dream where the way the setup was my room was the front of the house.
Yeah.
And I had a fireplace inside that room that had like this cast iron grill that was over top of it, over front of it, and I got woke up one night. I was laying down on a couch that I had. You remember that old blue couch I used to have?
Yes.
At the time, I had that in that room as well, and I was sleeping on it, and I could hear something, scruffling inside of the chimney and everything. And I sat there, and I'm just curious as to what it was, because it sounds like it's coming up, the chimney. And I go outside, and I look up, and I look over at the top of the roof, like over by where the tree is, and I see these like red eyes just glaring at me. And I sit there, and I'm just, and basically just stunned. I was paralyzed just from the sheer fear of seeing those red glowing eyes. And I started to turn around and walk away. When I did, it was just this blood-curdling screech. And it was enough that it literally drove a chill straight from my neck to my spine. No clue what it was, but it was just a very odd occurrence. And ever to this day, just that one screech, it's always stayed with me.
This was a dream, right?
This was a dream. And it was a very vivid dream at that. I mean, if you could ever have a dream that could have been, real, that was it right there.
Yeah. So, that reminds me, there's a podcast I did, that I think it's either the first or second paranormal podcast I did, that I mentioned that I have seen those red eyes in real life. It wasn't a dream.
Yeah.
It wasn't a dream. So, and I call them Sam Fishers. So, I'm a person that I've seen a lot of crap. I mean, it was right after I started seeing a lot of crap. And
it was right after you got hanging out with me, you started seeing shit.
It was you and it was
me and Yates.
You and Yates. I consider Yates the conduit.
Yates was kind of like the lightning rod. I was kind of like the grounder, where you started seeing the shit more vividly and more, often.
But I call them Sam Fishers, and they scare the. I don't see them anymore. I've read that it's a sign. You kind of, when you're depressed, that's what hits it. So I mean,
alrighty.
You can consider them. I consider them imps, I guess.
Consider them imps.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that imp had one hell of a screech that
I don't.
motherfucker wanted to kick in the nuts.
But yeah, I've seen a lot, and I mean I haven't seen a whole lot lately since I'm not really bummed anymore.
Sun glare.
Singular. I don't have nothing.
Yeah, I know. You've got the perfect spot right there. I'm sitting here, sun beating right in the face. My glasses have already transitioned. They've been there. They've been that way probably the entire time I've been out here.
But we're at 45. So.
We're at 45.
Yeah.
Wow.
Technically 50. Since I canned out that first 15.
Oh. I don't know. I can't think of anything else right now. You might throw off some trigger words. You might have to pull back for a part 3.
Part 3.
But I don't know. I'm pretty much fresh out of ideas. Oh no, I actually remember one that that we were going to talk about. It is actually a mystery, and it's the sinking of the Titanic. You remember? I remember I was telling you about this.
I didn't read it.
You never even responded after this.
No, I don't know what they found out.
No, there is a university. I think it's in Cambridge. I think it's Cambridge University. Mm-hmm. They were conducting studies of some of the images that they had done with the Titanic.
Yeah.
During the scanning and all this stuff. And in there, they noticed something that was pretty odd, pretty peculiar about the boiler room. Mm-hmm. And it turns out that before they even left Europe, like shortly before they left to go to pick up the passengers, there was a massive boiler fire that was over in that area where the iceberg had struck. And that was, they were down actually a boiler because of that. It was non-functional because it, almost exploded.
Yeah.
And the theory that they have, which if it is proven that the theory is true, it would put a White Star to blame of the death of all those people that died on that ship, not the captain.
Yeah.
And what it is the theory is that when that metal, when it got to be so hot, it scorched the metal.
Oh, so weakened the metal?
It weakened the durability of the ship, and it compromised the structure. So when it hit the iceberg, instead of it just being a little bump like it should have been, it was a full-fledged puncture. It ripped right through it.
Yeah.
And it makes sense, because if you watch the movie, when they hit it, it was supposed to be one of these unsinkable ships and everything. Yeah. And, it took a torpedo to take down the Britannic, and it was made of the exact same material.
Yeah. So
how's an iceberg? How is some ice going to sit there and do that much damage to where it sinks an entire ship? Oh, it's a bird down there.
It's a loud bird.
It is a loud bird. It's a robin. It's just in there. But no, that was actually something that I read not long ago, and I knew to bring it up because, if anybody would know, it would be somebody that deals with metal, like, swordsmen, like people that make swords. They know that if you get the metal too hot, it compromises the metal, and they have to start over when they're making the swords.
Yeah.
And that was one of the new theories that they had come out with.
You can think about it. It is.
If it proves that is true, if that really did happen, that would actually put the blame on White Star, not on John Smith, on Captain Smith.
But yeah, you could also have the people argue that it was his fault.
He
shouldn't have gone into the iceberg area.
Well, it's not only that he was warned plenty of times, and he just was like, whatever, we're in a ship, we ain't gonna sink. But the thing I would say, if the metal had not been weakened, would the thing still have happened?
True. Who knows? It could have still punctured it, but you said with the other ship. it took a torpedo.
Yeah, it took a torpedo because what it was the Britannic. It was the Titanic was supposed to be the starting ship of a fleet of these type of passenger mail ships. That's why it was RSM. It's Royal Service Mail.
Yeah.
And what they did is they made a fleet, and the Britannic was the second one that came off that line. And whenever the Titanic sank, they kind of halted production because obviously you can't do any more if your main designer goes down with the ship in the main voyage. And but they had already had the Titanic and the Britannic already done.
Yeah.
And what happened was in 1942 during World War II, they were using that ship as kind of like a safe passageway for European settlers to migrate from Europe and other war-torn areas of Europe to come to America.
Yeah.
And it come across a naval battle, which resulted in a torpedo attack that sunk the Britannic. So, I mean, what I'm getting...
set of ships, though, if you think about it, but yeah.
Yeah, the whole line was doomed from the start, apparently. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it took a torpedo to take that down, to take that ship down.
Yeah.
And it was a torpedo that hit in the center. Now, you think about, a sword. If you hit a sword against something something that's, in that area, like hit something like that, it's going to go into it more than it's going to sit there and damage.
Yeah.
Am I correct?
Yeah.
So what I'm getting at is, if the metal had not been compromised, if the metal was compromised due to that boiler fire, then it would have, done more damage had it not been compromised.
It would have held more.
It would have held more. It would have stayed, and they would have been able to have patched it up really quickly, and it would have taken on a little bit of water, but not as much as it had.
It wouldn't have sunk. I don't think if that caused it to sink, if they didn't compromise, if the heater didn't blow up or whatever,
the boiler
didn't blow up, and the metal didn't get singed, it probably would have sank slower if it did get cut in, and more people would survive. And they could have probably even made it to land and just patch it up or something like that. Yeah. A slow patch. But who knows?
I mean, it's just something you really can't ever. I mean, it's already done deal, and I'm almost certain within the next 50 years, it's just going to be a big ass rust stain at the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, because it's gone. It's almost gone now.
But it's just one of those what ifs that could have what if it hadn't done, or if because of the boiler they would have sat there and delayed it, if it would have saved more lives that way.
Yeah. And who knows?
That was the other thing I had written that I had for us to talk about. You have anything else you can think of?
No, I mean, I don't know. I drained a lot on the other two that I've done.
Yeah.
But there's not a whole lot of mysteries left.
Yates is an open book when it comes to paranormal.
Yeah, he's had a lot. He has a lot. He's had a lot. This is more of darker pretend.
Yeah, so. Mine's more of protection rather than
I think his
torment and twisted.
His one now is protective, but
like the ghost over at my grandmother's.
Yeah.
Like when I was a little baby, it used to come in there and used to settle me to sleep whenever I get fussy. And now anytime I see it, 3 people in my family die. I saw it one time in the mirror, and it was full body, and it was the creepiest thing ever. This is when I was just like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
I saw it like that, and it startled me because especially later on in life, I listened to what somebody was talking about, this old man that used to live in the house down the road, and he was just a spitting image of what that guy looked like.
Yeah.
And so he, obviously, he's got to be somebody that's just looking out for my family, because he was somebody that my family knew and got along with a little bit, whenever they first moved into Evansville.
Yeah, looking after your family. He kills
Yeah.
3.
Well, that's the twist because when he was younger, or whenever my uncles were younger, he used to spend time over in the room with them,
Mm-hmm.
and they used to sit there and listen to music, and you could see the figure just sitting there, just enjoying some time and everything, and it was always something like that. But it's just whatever reason whenever I've seen it, it's always signified that we were getting ready to have 3 major deaths. And when I saw that full body, I ended up losing my uncle Gerald, my great uncle Gerald, my great uncle Daryl, and my great grandfather, all 3 to cancer within a year of each other. And then I saw his hand my freshman year, if you remember. In freshman year, we lost my cousin Katie in that dorm fire over at Western Kentucky University. And then shortly after the start of sophomore year, my uncle was found, my great uncle Jimmy was found dead. And then around Christmas time, I think it was around that time, my Aunt Sarah ended up losing her father to cancer. So, it's always signified. I rarely go upstairs anymore because of it, but because I don't want to be the reason we lose a lot of family members. So far, we haven't lost hardly any family members in my family.
You don't have any left.
We've had 2 in a year, but we didn't have a third. And I've had some great relatives that have passed on, but other than that, it's just not that much.
No, I don't have anybody left, so I don't. My grandparents are gone. I mean, my dad's mom is mentally gone, so basically gone.
Well, I mean, you could also say your dad's mentally gone a little too.
He's been gone since I was in high school.
I remember those days.
So.
Derek, what are you doing? God, Dad,
Walking.
I'm doing nothing. I'm walking. I am sitting here doing absolutely nothing. Well, why the hell are you doing nothing? I don't know. I really don't know at this point in my life.
I have a hole in my ceiling because of that. Well, it's a puzzle piece now.
It's a puzzle piece.
I broke one of the ceiling tiles, and I just puzzled it back up there. And my brother noticed it about like 3 years ago. What happened? I was like, I punched the ceiling. Okay, he walked away.
Okay, Dad. Yeah.
Dad,
all right, understandable.
Yeah, it's right by the light. I'm still trying to figure out how I didn't cut my hand open when I did that.
Oh.
It was one of those boom, fuck. Why?
Oh, I've had days like that. I actually in my one of the old houses, I got so mad just from a bill collector, just from because they were trying to say that we owed double of what we had already paid.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's no way, we already paid this, and now you're taking it out and you're saying that we owe double that. So in a sense, they were trying to get 3 payments for just 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, there's no way. And they got me so frustrated that I punched the wall, and I failed to remember that the wall was brick. So I punch it, all I could feel is just like ah.
I think I remember that too. Your hand.
Oh. No, this was the last place that we just lived. I think I told you about it.
I think you've punched a wall before and hurt your hand. I think you were in high school.
Maybe, I don't know at this point. I don't know. There's certain parts of my body that just constantly aches at this point. So I don't know at this point.
Now we're too damn old.
Yeah, we are old. Oh, it doesn't feel like we've been out of school for a decade, but it sure as hell feels it now in the body. Oh man, you miss it at all?
I actually kind of do.
Just a little. You wouldn't have Andy as your teacher though.
I didn't have Andy for the longest time. I got lucky. I had Andy once.
Well, you had him for like a class during homeroom or something like that. Like you had him for one of your classes, I think your history class. But he's now a athletic director over at Central.
I'm surprised he's still with Central.
He's got 90's office.
I don't know. Red?
Huh?
Is it the bald guy?
No.
Who was the one that called Red all the time? Like, he would get angry, this entire body would go red.
You're thinking of Andrew Smith.
No, I'm thinking it was a teacher.
No. Mr. Russell.
Mr. Russell. Mr. Russell.
Mr. Russell.
You would make him mad. His entire head would go red.
Yeah. Oh, I've seen the red glow before. But no, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Mr. Nighty. He was the athletic director over by the gym.
We're hit an hour, as I said, an hour. So
nice.
It's going to take a buttload of time to upload.
Oh, sorry, Derek.
So, no, you're fine. I'll just put it to the side and play Zelda. Like I don't really do. Anyway, that being said, I guess this is it for this one. So,
all right.
Thanks for talking and rambling.
No problem. I like to ramble.
We all do.
We need to do this more often.
We do.
Take care, you guys. Have a good day.
Bye.
Oh.